I'm Dan, and it is a pleasure to be with you here today. When I joined Acrolinx last year, I had a background in data and analytics, but I was not familiar with the content creation and curation space. I found the online back catalogue of DITAWORLD presentations an invaluable resource. Not only did I get an understanding of the market dynamics, but I found a large, committed community passionate about their work, and it is a pleasure to be presenting to you today. It was apparent to me that within this community, the need for a well-defined and well-governed content architecture to ensure better collaboration, distributed writing, ease of reuse and repurposing of content with all the associated efficiency and productivity gains is well understood. Indeed, the need to get the right consultancy advice, choose the right supporting technology, such as AEM guides and acrolinx, is also widely acknowledged. From my subsequent research, though, I did find a gap. Not all company leaders understand the importance and significant value of the work that you do, which prevents you getting the associated visibility and investment. The challenge is linking the efficiency and productivity gains to key business metrics, those that are important to company boards, and creating a way of analyzing and showing this business impact over time. So today, I am joined by my friends Anuj from Accenture and Paul from Adobe, and together we will look to provide you with a content market point of view, an approach for assessing content impact, and a real-world look at the benefits that good content can have for an organization. We hope this will be a valuable investment of your time. With that, I would like to pass over to Anuj.
Hello, everyone. Digital technologies rush in the last one decade, and more importantly, in the pandemic in last 2-3 years, has opened up infinite possibilities for people to experience product and services in radically creative ways. More so for the customer services organizations and the marketeers. This has been a very uphill task, especially with the here, right now approach. It creates a new challenge for them, and with so many channels to come forward, and for every customer, the content to be personalized, it continue to add more complexity at their way. My name is Anuj. I work for Accenture Song, or formerly Interactive. We are the largest network of digital agencies in the world. In the B2B and B2C industry, the new buyer industry has been incredibly complex and unpredictable. One cannot simply imagine that if you have so many customers at the top of the funnel, some of the prospects will emerge from the bottom. Especially in the customer environment, customer service environment, and the marketing environment, the digital first approach requires a change in the mindset and a new approach to the content. And as always, Accenture believes the content for the same needs to be accessible, especially delivering into the multiple omni-channel environment or the content platforms, whether it's for searching or for the e-commerce need, via digital asset management, product information systems, especially accessibility for the especially able people, which is actually constitute almost about 1 billion population across world. The content needs to be catering to that kind of population as well, because they are also consumers in the highly complex world. Next is the content need to be modular, where the certain blocks of the content can be repurposed. The usability needs to be at the constant in the mind when the content is being produced. It needs to be enhanced by the with the play of the data, whether it's your services data or is your enterprise data. It's need to really cater to enhance the experience, and at the same time also provide insights for the next possible action. um, and more so now, during the pandemic phase, organization has also come to realize that the content needs to be increasingly human. It needs to be always listening, it needs to be purpose driven, and especially personalized and create an authenticity in any brand which is actually trying to position through this content. And lastly, taking the cultural, geopolitical, localized need of the messaging. It is very important that these experiences allow for the local experiences. They remain market relevant and also extremely automated for the efficiency and scale to be created here. That brings us to the next phase, where the great content plays a critical roles in moving the consumer from discovery, interest creation, buying services, and actually becoming a loyal customer to the organization. But it is extremely important that you map these content to the new fluid phases of these buying experiences, and which is where the very important that the personas of the customers are also kept in mind whom you want to reach. That brings us to the new content life cycle for the marketer or a customer services organization. So if you really see it, the next generation content planning needs to be for the systems like campaign systems, CRM systems, your content strategy for the DXM platforms, catering to the new content types, whether it is imagery, video, products, or even for that matter, the 3D imagery, the metaverse content. All of that needs to be actually kept in the mind. Third, it needs to have the best in the class technology or the digital channels, whether you're catering to the social channels or DXP platforms. Your DAMs, PIMs, or AEM guides consistently need to be connected with the all your the direct to consumer or B2B consumer platforms. And lastly, it's not only about the efficiency and the scale of the content, but also the measurement of the content is need to be impact it needs to be really also looked at it for its impact. So with the advent of analytics engines, the reports or the A/B testing, which actually allows you to for the marketeers or the content creation team to really look at the effectiveness of their content upfront. Um, this actually now brings us to another point of view, where we are saying that with a lot of digital channels coming in, a lot of digital devices upfront, and the emergence of the e-commerce, the and then the work-life balance that had made the organization to really think of that what kind of capabilities they need to evolve with. Especially now, every now and then the channels are proliferating with the left to right shift. The content has become from low volume to very very high volume. Your workflows are now static to very very dynamic workflows. Your publishing approach needs to be dynamic. Your customer engagement has to be two-way, because the content is not only produced by the single environment, but also the consumer generated content as well. And then also look at it, the publishing speed, where it used to be a weekly publishing or weekly release cycles to probably multiple times during the day. In this whole mix, if you really see it, where the consumer is going with this, you will find many consumer they get into the behavior of really engagement and intent to buy right here right now, if they are offered with the right if they are offered the right the information at the right time. And but despite all of that, you will also find majority of them probably might take a u-turn. They lean forward with the information in their hand, but they take a u-turn because there are third party reviews, their comparative analysis or competitive offers are also out there. So our capabilities should be also catering to these new dynamics of receiving the information in consumer hand. And that brings us that for the organization, that what kind of opportunities they have to cater to. And from the Accenture point of view, especially in the design, build, run, and communicate type of capabilities, they put a four bets onto the system. Number one, your content needs to be highly intelligent, stay relevant, become more and more compliant, and finally, it needs to be always fresh and up to date. The second big bet, which Accenture talks about, is your next generation brand experience, where it actually enable every marketer to catch the consumer right on every DXM platform, CXM platforms, your channels. The content gets personalized for every consumer. It also assimilate or embrace the user generated content, considering the environment or the geopolitical situation. It also caters for the new digital products. Third, you need to have a very efficient understanding about your consumer, what kind of consumer segment, what kind of personas you are catering to, and accordingly your content needs to be delivered for to achieve the campaign performance. Your A/B testing is actually catering to that, and you are continue to evolve your customer journeys. Lastly, the big push on the efficiencies, the automation plays a very important role because of the to achieve the speed of publishing. You need to have your content better, faster, cheaper, high quality, and at the same time accessible by diverse set of people and consumers. With that, I want to pass on to my colleague and the next speaker in the line. Thank you so much.
We've now heard from Anuj on how brands are adapting their content life cycles to meet consumer demands. Let's look at the impact this has on the content creation process. The content creation struggle, as I'm calling it here, is the challenge to deliver personalized customer experience consistently across the content lifecycle, when creation and management silos reduce visibility and manageability, as per my colourful squiggle. I'm going to lean heavily here upon a Forrester report that Adobe commissioned in August 2021, which was entitled Supercharge Long-Form Content for Personalized and Consistent Experiences, which if you've not read, I would encourage you to have a look at. As described at the beginning, we have established a need to tie content impact to business drivers. Well, 50% of those surveyed in that Forrester's report believed that unclear documentation poses a risk to customer support. That 80% of those surveyed found that an effective content solution has the effect of reducing compliance and regulatory issues. And they were universally supportive of the statement that organizations should ensure that customers are able to get relevant, personalized content across different touchpoints, that organizations are able to author, manage, and deliver personalized content and experiences at scale. So, how to get there? What we need is a way of bringing these stakeholders into alignment through a common understanding of what good and great look like. By reducing friction in the system, we can increase the velocity of content creation. As Goose said in Top Gun, I feel the need for speed. The benefits of increased throughput come from its ability to allow organizations to respond in a more fleet-footed way to customer demands and market stimuli. The approach we take has 3 steps. First, we work with our customers to get organizational agreement on their operational style guides and brand guidelines. Getting this off the shelf and operational is a key success criteria for digital leaders. Second, we build the guidelines into a governance platform that can be configured and tuned to address departmental, persona, or team level derivations. As part of this process, we provide you and your stakeholders with a company-specific benchmark of content quality, the acrolinx score. This allows for a conversation to happen that is linked intrinsically to the corporate content goals, with reference points linked to key quality features, such as tone of voice, inclusivity, or accuracy. Thirdly, we provide a governance mechanism for ensuring that the content that is being put into the hands of customers is impactful and meets the content goals you have determined as important for your business. This is an approach that we have developed over time. We at Acrolinx have a long history of working with content creators at scale, having started out as a spin-off from DFKI, the German Research Center for AI. We find that this approach helps our customers solve a number of key business challenges. How to optimize content operations by bringing brand guidelines and style guides to life and providing content creators with guidance at their fingertips, which makes them hugely productive. How to minimize corporate risk associated with content. Microsoft calls us their content creation insurance policy, and we have many clients who are using us to support their diversity and inclusivity programs by providing writing guidelines around inclusive language. How to align many writers with one voice. One of our UK banking clients has moved to agile development principles across their IT estate. This means that they now have many more people contributing micro pieces of content, none of whom have professional writing experience, and many of whom, while subject matter experts in their own fields, are not aware of the corporate brand guidelines and policies. This can lead to a cornucopia of writing styles and linguistic anomalies, unless you have a method for standardization. In addition to standardization, an organization needs a consistent way to review both its pre- and post-production content to be able to truly determine its impact. At the earliest stage, the focus of the content creation process is on accuracy and efficiency. How do we build content with the right terminology, with as much automation, so it can be localized, reused, and repurposed, and cost-effective? Here, the objective for a content impact platform is to provide as much guidance as possible to the content creator. In acrolinx, this is our sidebar technology. At the next stage, the aim is to ensure that as the content creation engine gets into gear, that you have a mechanism for checking that all of your content is being added to your content management system and meets your aligned and agreed benchmark of quality. You can do this through automated content checking and the creation of a content quality gate. In our platform, this is our automation engine and our analytics. And finally, you need a way to help marketing teams understand how the message is resonating, whether it is reaching the right audience and generating the types of responses that they are looking for. We bring content scoring and post-production analytics, like Adobe Analytics, together in our Content Cube extension to provide a visual way of making correlations between content quality and the content impact. So this is how we believe you can deliver the most impactful content for your stakeholders and consumers. Now, let's get a practitioner's perspective. Over to you, Paul.
Thank you, Dan. Technical content is the lifeblood of any practitioner. That material could consist of tutorials, documentation, release notes, training courses, knowledge base articles, really any material that helps answer the question at hand. And that's the same whether you're working on your own or whether you're part of a huge multinational team. Finding the answers to the questions you have is really a make or break in your day. It certainly impacts your productivity and that of the team you work for. But with that being said, once you've found that material, it has to be accurate, relevant, up to date, and make sense. If one or any of those attributes are missing, that's going to impact the trust that people have in the material. If it happens consistently, it can do a lot more damage. It can impact the trust they have in the company. It can impact the usage they have on a product if they can't get it to work or they can't troubleshoot the problem effectively. It could also impact the renewal or subscription of a service. So self-help material has to be right from the start. You'd think that maybe a small typo or an oddly structured sentence or a broken link is a minor inconvenience. Customer would let it go. It's easy to fix. However, as people interact with this material, usually while troubleshooting their problems, they have a more heightened sense of urgency. So if that material has issues or even errors, it absolutely diminishes their trust in that material. Ideally, mistakes should never get to production in the first place. And that's the philosophy we follow on Adobe's Experience League team. Experience League, which is at experienceleague.adobe.com, is the help, enablement, documentation, community resource for all customers using our Experience Cloud solutions. I'm sure that many of you have used this, or I'm certain that many of your team have used this. If not, please go and check us out. About 4 years ago, the Experience Cloud business started a journey to create a content and authoring validation pipeline that had the principles of quality, speed, and scale at its core. And we called this the Scalable Collaborative Content Model, or SCCM for short. SCCM was envisioned with a content as code mentality and draws on a lot of CI/CD principles to ensure that we are having a constantly flowing freeway of content being authored, validated and checked, structured, packaged, translated, and published in a continuous way. And this library now consists of close to 250,000 pages of content in 12 languages. It covers nearly 90 distinct solution guide areas, and it's maintained and curated by a staff of dedicated authors and collaborators inside the company, such as product management, product marketing, consulting, customer care, even with customers and partners externally. So around 70 dedicated writers maintain this 250,000 pages, but there's over 230 people working in this system to help maintain the material. That's a lot of potential for drift in style, grammatical and editorial differences. Another thing is, as we translate all of this material, we follow a machine translation first principle. 100% of our material goes through machine translation and hits the site. So ensuring that material entering the pipeline is as accurate as possible ensures the machine translation engines make the best possible translation. And that saves us a huge amount of work stemming from reworking oddly translated sentences, bizarre syntax, very long paragraphs that follow on, and the MT starts to struggle with how that's structured. And that equates to improvements in delivery time, reductions in localization cost, and gives us incredibly well-written, well-structured material. And that's key not only for the English authoring teams, the English-speaking authoring teams, but we have many of our teams as a multinational global enterprise where they're writing in English as a second language. So there are many grammatical, syntactual, and other areas that can be introduced just from the rules of their native language. And as they convert those into English, that can introduce some interesting language structure. Acrolinx is a key part of the validation step and really helps set our baseline, control the consistency, and absolutely contributes to that get it right at the start mentality. Importantly, this validation step that occurs in our material, for all of this material that flows through the pipeline, is pretty unobtrusive. If it was an incredibly labor-intensive or long process, it would be difficult for authors to be highly productive. But the reality is, once a piece of material has been created and submitted into validation, getting from validation to publishing is incredibly quick. And this is, at best, just under a minute to maybe 10, 15 minutes, depending on how large that material set is. If it's thousands of pages, it might be 10 or 15 minutes. If it's a one-page update, it could be 30 seconds to get to production. And that includes checking, validation, the structuring, the packaging, the delivery to production. The SCCM Experience Lead model we've talked about is in place and it's been running for close to 2 years. So we know it works and we've proved it works. But that doesn't mean we're done. We're constantly tuning and refining our term dictionaries in acrolinx. Our brand language is evolving. The corporate language we use is evolving. The marketplace language we use is evolving. So we're constantly tuning that material. We're also evolving how we use features and adding new capabilities to the environment. One that we're enhancing particularly right now is how we approach the structure of the language we actually use in our documentation. And improving the diversity, equality, and inclusiveness language are huge initiatives for Adobe as a whole, not just the technical authoring team, but in everything we do. And that includes the language in our technical material and the language in our code base of how we deliver this material. And we've spent a lot of time scrubbing that content and the code base to remove any DE&I bias that may have existed in technical language in the past. And we're very excited to be implementing acrolinx's targets capability to help us systematically manage how we continue to align our equitable and inclusive language. The SCCM content authoring approach really relies on automation and economies of scale to drive what we do. Acrolinx's capabilities allow us to deliver incredibly high quality content. They save us time and money through translation improvements, through the ability to not have to rework material. And it ensures that we get the material to the site as accurately as we can make it the first time. And with that, I'll hand it back to you, Dan, to bring us home.
I hope you've enjoyed our presentation. If you would like to know more, please contact us on the email addresses on screen. And remember, as Lee Odden once said, content isn't king, it's the kingdom. Many thanks.